The Toyota is committed to a multi-pathway strategy. Hybrid, plug-ins, BEVs. The bottom line, I simply want to make ever better car, no matter what kind of the powertrain they have. Thank you very much.
Why is Toyota taking a hit these days? There's a new player in town ready to take on Toyota in China. It has big plans to beat Toyota with super cheap electric cars and plug-in hybrids. It's already making waves. Toyota's sales dropped by 36% in February in China. So, Toyota admitted that they're having a tough time in China because there's so much competition and not many people are interested in their electric cars since they don't make a lot of them. So, you might be wondering if Toyota's sales are still okay globally. Toyota's sales went up in Europe and the United States in February, but because they dropped a lot in China and other Southeast Asian countries where electric cars are becoming popular, it's causing some trouble. Even with some sales growth in certain places, Toyota's global sales still dropped by 7%. Is this the start of trouble for Toyota? But one thing's for sure, in the next few years, there might come a time when Toyota's sales hit a turning point and just keep going down. We figured out what's happening. Toyota really depends a lot on China. Just to put it in perspective, their sales in China dropped by a whopping 36%. So even though their sales went up by 16% in Europe and 14% in America, their overall sales still fell by 7% because of the huge drop in China. Also, they're feeling the pinch in countries where electric cars are catching on fast, like Thailand and Malaysia. In Thailand, especially, the switch to electric cars is happening super fast. The EV market more than doubled there. We think it actually went up by over 200% last year. The main reason for that is Thailand. There are around 20 different Chinese car brands available in Thailand. So people in Thailand are asking themselves, why would we buy a Toyota hybrid with a nickel metal hydride battery pack? The Toyota hybrid isn't any cheaper than a new electric car or plug-in hybrid. So why would anyone choose the old-school nickel metal hydride battery from 1987? Toyota over 20 years ago still have these old nickel metal hydride batteries. Even now, many of their hybrids still rely on these batteries. Toyota claims they can drive forever on eternal propulsion, but they've been banned from advertising that. No other car company in the world uses these batteries except Toyota. Why does Toyota stick with these old batteries? Probably because they already have factories that make them, even though they're pretty ancient. But electric vehicle sales in China have shot up this year. In March, EVs made up a whopping 48% of car sales. So March probably wasn't a great month for Toyota in China. We don't have the sales numbers for Toyota in March yet. We know they dropped by 36% in February, but we're guessing they won't bounce back much in March. This could be a tough year for Toyota in China. Toyota has spent more money on marketing than any other company in the world over the past 20 years. Toyota is a big deal worldwide. When you buy a Toyota, you're also paying for all the marketing, which adds up to around $2,000. But the thing is that marketing doesn't seem to be working as well on Chinese citizens. They're making their own choices. We believe Chinese citizens are voting with logic, so congrats to them for making wise decisions. Another reason for the sales drop is that Toyota sales in Japan have tanked. They're down by a whopping third. Just like in China, production stoppages at Daihatsu are hitting Toyota's domestic sales in Japan. But that excuse about Daihatsu's sales affecting Toyota's numbers is actually not true. Daihatsu's sales aren't included in these calculations, so that excuse doesn't hold up. The truth is, Toyota is facing a brand crisis in its home country of Japan. It's pretty wild because Toyota has been caught up in scandal after scandal. There have been emission scandals where Toyota admitted to lying about its diesel cars for the past 20 years, and this was still happening up until just a few months ago. There are plenty of other problems too. Toyota got caught rigging crash tests more than 50 times for over 50 different models. They were stuffing fake stuff in the doors to make them seem stronger in a crash. The real cars didn't actually have any of that fake stuff in them. So now that all this has come out in Japan, people are starting to doubt Toyota's brand. Maybe Toyota isn't as trustworthy as they claim to be, and maybe they're not as safe as they say. Toyota's small car unit even admitted to rigging collision safety tests for decades. Sales of Toyota cars in Indonesia and Thailand, where they were conducting some of these tests, have dropped by double digits. Even in Indonesia, nearly 40% of the vehicles Toyota sold in February were gasoline-electric hybrids, which is quite noteworthy. Meanwhile, Toyota's subsidiary, Daihatsu, saw a massive 66.6% plunge in sales worldwide in February. On top of that, Toyota's total manufacturing output in February shrank by about 3% to 737,000. Even though Toyota sales are going down in the United States, they're doing pretty well in China, which is helping them stay strong. They're expecting even more growth in China this year. China is super important for the car industry. Lots of big car brands rely on selling loads of cars to millions of Chinese people who are getting richer and buying cars for the first time or upgrading. But last year, things got tough because subsidies were taken away. The economy slowed down and there was a trade war with the United States, which all led to less demand for cars. Experts say the Chinese government has figured out that to hit its emission goals, it can't just rely on electric cars with batteries. Hybrids are cheaper and people aren't as worried about their driving range. So the government supporting hybrids is a big win for Toyota and gives them an advantage over other companies. Sales worldwide, including Daihatsu and Hino, went up by 5% compared to last year, hitting a record high of 11.1 million units. It's the first time they've ever crossed the 10 million mark. Production also went up by 4.5% to 11.2 million units, thanks to strong demand in North America, Europe, and India. Even in Japan, production stayed steady, despite a pause in shipments later in the year due to Daihatsu's crash safety test scandal. Toyota sales in China went up by 1.4%, especially compared to some other Japanese car brands that are having a tough time because people are loving local brands like BYD. The biggest car maker in the world sold 116,654 battery electric cars from April 2023 to March 2024. Sales of Toyota and Lexus went up by 7.3% and 9.2% respectively. Other companies did well too. Honda's sales went up by 12% to 4.1 million units, and Nissan's sales climbed about 9% to 3.4 million units. Toyota's global sales dropped by 7.4% to 941,222 units, mainly because of declines in countries like Thailand and Indonesia. Production was down even more, by 15.9%, to 886,136 units. Honda's sales in March went up a little, but production took a big hit, down by 19%. Nissan's global production fell by 20%. Toyota is pushing ahead with its plans to make and sell more electric cars in the United States. They're investing $1.4 billion at a plant in Indiana, which is their second big electric vehicle announcement this year. The Princeton, Indiana plant, which currently makes 4 gas and hybrid models, will now also produce an all-new electric 3-row SUV. Toyota announced this on Thursday. This follows their earlier announcement in February about spending $1.3 billion at a factory in Kentucky to make another 3-row fully electric SUV. Both of these new electric vehicles will use lithium-ion batteries from a new plant Toyota is building in North Carolina, set to start production in 2025. Toyota has been taking its time with electric vehicles compared to other big car makers. They've been focusing on selling hybrid gas-electric models instead. But now they're jumping into EVs to keep up with the toughening US emissions rules and to stay competitive with rivals who benefit from US government subsidies for local production. Toyota sells 2 electric vehicles in the US. And another factor that might be responsible for their plunge would be the reluctance to enter the EV sector, given that the entire line of CEOs are ignoring the fact that the EV sector is booming. They might have to bear some criticism from the consumer world. Do share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button before you go. We'll meet you in the next one.